Lucky you.
36 best
Tuned
holes in
into
golf.
Alternate Shots podcast,
Barney's Army.
where we talk about golf,
Sandy.
poker,
James Bond.
horse racing,
Double.
classic movies.
Zenyatta.
We have no script,
Down the stretch they
and
come.
we are glad you joined us.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
All right, Billy, we are
Bobby.
back. We are back, Billy. Back by popular demand, right? We're getting a lot of people talking about this podcast, and now special announcement, it's not only on YouTube, it's on Spotify. So you can get the audio pretty much where you usually get your audio, right?
Yeah, and I got to say, it's been several weeks since we started this, so the group behind us is a little annoyed that we're only on the seventh hole.
We've been holding up. First time you and I ever hold up a golf course at Winged Foot, right? And
Absolutely,
it's
we've
due
held up
to
some players, but not some,
it's
not
due
by
to
slow play.
it's due to a technical podcast. It's blame it on Google, blame it on YouTube, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are we looking at here?
Babe in the Woods. It's I think it's, what does it say? 167 from the back, 159 from the black, and 148 from the members tees, the white tees. And it's right there in front of you. It's called Babe in the Woods, but you know, after you've just come off, if you're in a match and you've just struggled through the first 4 or 5 holes, you might have gotten a respite on 6, maybe not. And then you come here, and depending on where you stand in the match, this becomes a very important hole because the next one's no picnic. So your only aim here is to hit this green.
So you've gone 6 holes, and if you're a mid handicap or 8 to 16 handicap or whatever it is, you might have hit 2 solid shots between 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And as Billy Harmon says, well, you don't hit the middle of the club face like Jay Haas every time, right?
Right, exactly. And there's very little room for error here. It usually plays a little longer than it looks. I'm generally taking an extra club because you have to fly it all the way there. If you come up even slightly short on that left side of the green, it's going to roll all the way back off. And you don't want to be in those bunkers unless you are one of the many expert bunker players that Winged Foot has. But I don't even think they would want to be in there. It's not an impossible up and down, although it was for Johnny Miller.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll get to Johnny Miller in a minute. But, there's 3 places where you're short: that left bunker short, in
Yep.
the fairway in front of the green, or in the right bunker. So we've all, anybody that's played Winged Foot more than twice has hit that front of the green and come back off. And that's not the worst place to be.
It would probably be the second or third choice of most guys on that, if you had to par one of the par threes.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to have picked 3 East as the the must make par, must win a bet par. But this has got to be maybe the second
You pick
choice.
this one over 13 East, right?
Oh yes. Yeah, if you
13 East.
if you're just looking at it all on paper and you have no experience over there, you probably pick that as the easiest hole. But
It's a shorter
surprise,
shot.
surprise. Yeah.
You're hitting level to level. Here you're hitting up a little bit, and you don't necessarily see it when you're standing there on the tee next to your caddy, because again, kind of like a Hitchcock scene, whoever took this picture is on a ladder. They're up a little ways because they're coming down a little bit. We're almost looking eye to eye with that pin. That's not the case when you're on the tee. You're a good
No, it's an uphill
5,
shot.
10, 15 feet lower, and that's why you got to take the extra club.
Yep, and you have to carry that bunker on the right if you hit it right. And, can't tell you how many times I've been in there or standing on that tee going, go, go, please go.
If you hit the green and it goes just over the back edge, if you're a reasonably good chipper, you can get it close unless the pin's tied up against the back. But it's not terrible like when you're over most of the greens at Winged Foot.
No, it's not a severe green.
What about Johnny Miller, though? 1973, he had that fabulous last round at Oakmont. In 74, Massacre of Winged Foot, they set it up. Whether they admit to it or not, they set it up hard. But Miller hits it in this bunker. What happened to him?
He hit 4. It took him 4 to get out of there. 4 shots and bye back to back opens, all by this little Babe in the Woods. But he was very accomplished. He had an accomplished career. And our last guest, Alvaro Saralegui, said he was fun to play with. So he got over it.
I think he was a single focus guy, like a lesser degree of a Hogan, a lesser degree, or maybe the same degree of Nicklaus.
Yeah.
And as he got older, had a very long career as an announcer, I'm sure he'd become a more pleasant, fun guy because he wasn't in his, total focus. I'm trying to make a par or birdie here situation.
But he called it like he saw it. He was not like easy on people who were making mistakes when he was a broadcaster.
I think I might have told the story, but real quickly, Jay Haas's uncle is Bob Goldby, and I was fortunate enough to get picked to caddy for Bob Goldby in the 74 Open. What a gentleman, champion, finished second in some big tournaments, won the Masters, knew everybody. And Wednesday was the last practice round in 74. And he said, we're going to play with my nephew, Jay. Well, Jay, as Billy Harmon said, is the only guy that made all the championships, all 4 rounds. He made it all
Right.
the championships since 1974. Wingfoot,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Yep.
One of them was a PGA.
Yep.
Yeah. And he gets his 5-iron out. So today everybody kind of laugh at that unless there was a 3-club wind into you. But he hit a 5-iron from about 160, 163. Pin was over that bunker, and lo and behold, went in the hole for a 1.
Just doesn't matter who you are or where you are. When you make a hole in one, you'll never forget it.
No, so if you go further up, and when I caddied back in the 70s, if you went all the way up to this tee, was the red tees, and those are the ladies' tees. And I'm going to guess, what do you think about 130, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
maybe 130. Well, I'm caddying for our friend JP, his mother, Mrs. O'Hara, and one great thing about the ladies in that group back in the 70s is they all knew how to maximize the fun at the hardest golf course in the world. They'd have lunch at 12. I don't know if Mrs. O'Hara imbibed, but her friends did. And at lunchtime, they'd have a martini, a see-through, maybe 2, maybe 1.5. They all played in carts. So they came out at 1 o'clock on the dot, and you went out with them, either east or west. And they looked at their watch. If it was 4:45, Billy,
they were finished.
Boom, they were finished. If they were over by Freddie Corcoran's house on 15 West, or by Damon's house by 15 East T, they zoomed in. Why?
Yep.
They had to go buff up, put the makeup on, get their hair done, and they were having a little brown liquor, maybe bourbon, a little scotch in the ladies' locker room, and they had dinner plans at 6:30 in Larchmont somewhere, maybe Gus's or in Harrison, or back in the day there was Carl's in Larchmont, or the Larchmont Tavern. But Mrs. O'Hara got up there with her little 5-wood, and she swung like this over her head and back over her head. JP does a great thing, and she's a lovely woman, and she knocked it in the hole.
God bless her.
So from Jay Haas to Mrs. O'Hara, what a comparison! All at Wingfoot, right?
All on this little babe in the woods, number 7.
Toughest pin placement on this hole.
I guess visually it would be tucked to the right over that bunker, because that right hand bunker's in your head at all times on this hole. But I don't know. I think maybe back center is tough for me.
Yeah, it is one of those greens, like a lot of greens at Wingfoot, that do go downhill from back to front.
Yeah,
not as severely as, say, 2 West, and 2 West is twice the size of this green. It's a small green. But
yeah.
If you don't read the speed from the back to the front, you'll be chipping, or putting from the fairway, or you might even put it in a bunker. People have done that.
Absolutely.
This may be where a caddy at Wingfoot is your most valuable asset when you come to Wingfoot for the first time. So that caddy is going to tell you, hit it solid. You think it's a 6-iron, let's hit a 5, right? Let's hit one more club, right? Because everybody thinks they hits it further.
Yeah, and you don't usually see people hitting it over the back of the screen. I mean, you do see it, but not that often. More often it's yanked left or again in that right-hand bunker. Oftentimes over the left-hand bunker. I think I'm more often over the left bunker than in the left bunker when I pull it over there.
And, you're looking at this picture, which is a beautiful picture. You see the benefits of the West and East Course restoration. And when we thinned out the trees, you can see that 16E screen over there on the right. Yeah. Pretty clearly from this tee. And what'd you say? That's about 250 yards from this tee?
Probably.
Yeah. And you can see it right there. You can see the sort of the landing area of 2 East over there. You certainly see the 8th tee.
Yeah. That when they restored, and all golf courses did this in the last 15 years, is it helps the growth of everything, because the trees eat up a lot of the nutrients and they block a lot of the air circulation. So trees, especially near greens, make it very difficult to maintain the green because the nutrients you're feeding to the green are getting stolen by any nearby tree. So it gives them, their work is cut out for them.
Yeah, and there's not a over there to the left. There was a grove of trees to the left of the side of the bunker there.
I know, I remember.
And it's all cleared there all the way to the 6th West tee.
Yep.
But it's all beautiful green. You can hit a flop shot, which is what Tillinghast wanted you to do, wanted to give you a chance.
It used to be full of roots and trees, yeah.
Yeah, so you had to get inventive over there. If you could bounce it to the left of that trap or putt it to the left, or just get it on the green.
Oh, my brother putted from over there, over the roots, up onto the green, stone cold from off the roots. So
I'll find that picture, but you gave me a picture of him putting, and I said, "What green is that?" And I think you said it was this green.
It was probably this green, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll have to include a picture of Neil, our great Wingfoot historian. Did you ever have one of those times here where he put a putt down and you had to spend a long time trying to make this putt?
There's no golf course or green that we played that we didn't do that, including public courses when there was no one behind us. So I don't remember specific pins that he would pick here, but I do vividly remember that shot. He was way over on the left in those trees. And he said, I have to putt this. I was like, whatever. And this thing's like bounce, 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 goes up into the hill, hops on, just spins over. He makes his 3. Nothing like the match that Sean Connery and what was Auric Goldfinger's name?
Gerda Frobe.
Gert Frobe had at in Goldfinger.
Thanks for joining us today.
Billy Harmon.
We really appreciate your
Double
feedback.
Indemnity.
And please subscribe to the show and hit
Claude
the bell
Harmon.
icon so you get notified.
Movie Classics.
New episodes.
Clark Gable.
Hit 'em
On
hard
Job.
and hit 'em off.
Best 36 holes.